Everybody Lies by Seth Stephens-Davidowitz. Welcome back to my channel. My name is Samuel and I want to make self-growth normal. If you want to make self-growth normal, because I don't want to do it alone, then make sure to smash that like button for the YouTube algorithm. Everybody Lies is about a whole new way of studying the mind. Big data from internet searches and other quick time responses are not a cerebroscope. A cerebroscope was this device that used to be used to diagnose like brain disease. From the privacy of our keyboards, we now admit to some of the strangest things, because when we look something up on Google, no one is going to react to us like, "Bro, what the hell is wrong with you? Why would you even think about that?" Our search for information alone is information. I'm going to repeat that. Our search for information alone is information. When and where we look up what we look up says so much more about us than we realize. What we fear, desire, think, and do. I hate my boss. My dad hit me. I drink too much. None of these things about me, by the way, are true at all. Anyone that's true about my best wishes, I hope everything gets better. The universe just may be testing you, and if you can get through this, then you can get through anything. But my point is that we seem to confide in Google more than we even inquire on it. Quick political disclaimer here. The author does include some information on Trump winning the 2016 election, and I don't really think this guy's the biggest fan of Trump. By the election, I meant the 2016 election, of course. What he said about Trump, I wouldn't call like hate speech or anything, but I would politely advise, no matter your political views, to focus on what he was saying about the side of so many people that we didn't know was there, given Google search results. I think that's the most important thing he was trying to say, and I really think it might just be one side of the coin, but who knows? I will say this though, and I'm gonna try not to spend 90% of the review bashing the book because of this. I like to think that I was able not to. I feel like a lot of this book in general is just way too politically based for its own good. When I think of who we really are, I think of so much more than our political beliefs. I think more than anything about like our habits, our interests and passions and hobbies, our fears, our desires, our occupations, and our friends and family, and our thoughts and feelings about all those things. Our senses of self, our egos, just so many odds and ends that could, but ultimately don't completely have to do with politics. And I don't know why he used the N-word with the hard ER such a staggering number of times in the first half of the book, at least. I will say that if I didn't find it unsettling, I definitely didn't find it necessary. This isn't to say that I didn't like the book, but there are three parts. The first one's called Data, Big and Small. The next one's called The Power of Big Data. And the third one is called Big Data, Handle with Care. The author of this book spent 10 years in the world of data analysis, and he's been fortunate to work with many of the people at the top of the field. And one of the most important lessons he's learned is that data science can actually be very simple. Good data science can be less complicated than many people think. It's actually surprisingly intuitive. I mean, we use large banks of data that we have individually accumulated over the years to come to the conclusions we reach. We do this all the time. You and me, we do it at our jobs. You know what to do based on your experience and what you've learned from other people. Data is a weird word, isn't it? I mean, what the hell does it even mean? Data. Sounds like this complicated thing that no one understands. Data is facts and statistics collected together for reference or analysis, which can be pretty useful if you think about it. But why don't we use computers if we could just rely on our guts? One of the most important things I have ever learned in my life that I will never, ever, forever, it's like in SpongeBob, never, ever, forever, never, ever, forever. I will never forget these 7 words. You don't know what you don't know. The internet is like the greatest mastermind in the history of the universe. And the internet it's kind of like a window to what you don't know. If it's not a whole house, come on, it's gotta be a window. You might at least see a room if it's not a house. Maybe it's a window that's very tinted. I don't know where I'm going with this analogy. The world, my point is just, it just works in ways that we don't think it does. And the more I learn from these books, the more I begin to believe, if not realize and understand that. The part about the power of big data, it uncovers a lot. The digitization of data, which is like basically how we can take unfathomable amounts of information and put it online and organize it. People lie about how many drinks they had on the way home. They lie about how often they go to the gym, how much those new shoes costs, whether they read that book. They call in sick when they're not. They say they'll be in touch when they won't. They say it's not about you when it is. They say they love you when they don't. They say they're happy when they're down in the dumps. They say they like women, but really they like men. Not that there's anything wrong with that. People lie to friends. They lie to bosses. They lie to kids. They lie to parents. They lie to doctors. They lie to husbands. They lie to wives. They lie to themselves. They lie in answers to surveys. He posed a survey for us. I'll give you guys my answers. Feel free to drop yours below in the comments. I'm very curious to hear these. Have you ever cheated on an exam? Yes. An exam, like end of the year exam? No, never. I never knew how. Have you ever fantasized about killing someone? No. Were you tempted to lie? No, but I was tempted and gave into the temptation of trying to remember if I've ever done those things. That last whole quote though, it kind of makes you wonder who hurt this guy. I will admit though, by this point I was still having trouble grasping what big data majorly has to do with a correlation between what we do and what we say. And very importantly, what we know. This guy also didn't have to talk as much as he did about like sex and porn statistics in the first half of the book. If it's not obvious, I like the second half a lot more than the first half. It's not that what he said wasn't interesting or alarming, but I don't understand how crucial it really was for him to explain. And I can't help but think that the author could have done a better job at maybe highlighting that importance. I don't think that it's obvious how crucial sexual desire to most people is in indicating what so many other desires are and why we do what we do. The author even said in the chapter, The Truth About Sex, that one of the more common questions for Google regarding men's genitalia is, how big is my penis? I don't know why someone would look that up. That men turn to Google rather than a ruler is, in my opinion, a quintessential expression of our digital era. This is, I wanted to call the book that inspired this audiobook, How Big Is My Penis? What Google searches teach us about human nature, but my editor warned me about via Top Sell that people might be too embarrassed to buy a book with that title in an airport bookstore. Do you agree? Seth, if it's of any consolation, you are a badass at making money, and the subtle art of not giving a just seem to be doing fine. There's another chapter called The Truth About Hate and Prejudice, another chapter called The Truth About the Internet, another chapter called The Truth About Child Abuse and Abortion, another chapter called The Truth About Your Facebook Friends, and another chapter called The Truth About Your Customers. And it's strange to me that I will admit I didn't get that much of a preachy political vibe, for lack of a better word. It was more of like a, this is what this was like 75 years ago. According to our data analysis, this is why it's different now, and how it's just kind of, I don't know, it just didn't seem that biased, but maybe I'm biased or something, I don't know. The next chapter, Big Data, Handle with Care. This chapter spoke more on small data than I thought it would. There was an analysis they did on potential borrowers, putting a brief description on a website of why they're borrowing a loan and why they're likely to make good on it. And as it turns out, the language that these people used is a strong indicator of their probability of paying back. In other words, when they explained why they want or need a loan, what they were saying was the biggest determining factor in whether you can trust them or not to pay that loan. Out of 10 phrases or terms, five successfully indicated that they would pay back the loan, and 5 successfully indicated that they would not pay back the loan. God, promise, debt-free, minimum payment, lower interest rate, will pay, graduate, thank you, after tax, and hospital. You might be surprised which 5 fall into which category, but as an auto salesperson, I was intrigued by this, and it made sense to me. I'm sure it made sense to others. I wish that in this book there were more examples of smaller or bigger data in categories like personal finance or health or social life. Just topics that I think most people would probably agree are just very important. I wish there were more of a variety of that in this book, and what saddens me about this, or the lack of it, is that this guy really seems to know what he's talking about, you know? He really knows how to bring examples to life too. It's not like he doesn't. Listen to this. And another great, different example, I wish there were more of these in the book. I don't know why I'm referencing SpongeBob as much in this review as I am, but this is basically like, in the words of Mermaid Man, evil. Whew. Scott Now, the general manager of Terabyte, explains what casino managers do when they see a regular customer nearing their pain point. They come out and say, "I see you're having a rough day. I know you like our steakhouse. Here, I'd like you to take your wife to dinner on us right now." This might seem like the height of generosity, a free steak dinner, but really it's self-serving. The casino's just trying to get customers to quit before they lose so much that they'll leave for an extended period of time. In other words, management is using sophisticated data analysis to try to extract as much money from customers over the long term as it can. Other giant corporations like Target and Walmart also kind of do this. Maybe not to as Machiavellian a degree, but regardless of that degree, it's very, very subtle compared to this. And I learned about it from, what was that book? The Power of Habit by Charles Duhigg. Amazing book. I don't know why I haven't reviewed it yet, but I will in due time because it's probably one of my favorite books ever. But customers have used Yelp, Kayak, and Booking, and other services to overturn this. Big data, ladies and gentlemen. Quotes. Google was invented so that people can learn about the world, not so that researchers can learn about people. I sometimes suspect that inside every data scientist is a kid trying to figure out why his or her childhood dreams didn't come true. So it's no surprise that I recently investigated what it takes to make the MBA. Things that appear bad may be good if they prevent something worse. Direction 1. I recommend this book, of course, for anyone who's interested in data analysis, and of course how it can be used to determine human behavior in the digital age. Direction 2. If you like this book, you might love Blink by Malcolm Gladwell and The Notorious Black Swan by Nassim Taleb. Everybody Lies by Seth Stephens-Davidowitz. There's a link in the description if you guys want to check it out and read the reviews. That and all the other books that I mentioned in this video if you want to check those out too. If you guys buy anything through the links in the description, then I get commission, which helps me build this channel and keep making these videos. And if there are any other books that you guys want me to check out and review, please let me know in the comments below. Also let me know if you checked out this book and you liked it. But hey, make sure to smash that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, because I don't get why people watch this far into my videos and they don't subscribe. But if you have subscribed and you want to turn it up just a notch and turn on that notification bell to get a notification whenever I drop new videos, that would mean the world to me. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really appreciate it. You can find me everywhere and I will see you then.